Namaskar, a warm welcome to World News, an Indian perspective on All India Radio. This is Nobunita Adhikari and with me is Nishit Kumar, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi instructs his government to provide 10 lakh jobs to youth in mission mode over the next 1.5 years. Agnipat scheme cleared by Government of India to recruit youth in armed forces for a period of 4 years. Indian Minister Piyush Goyal says that several advanced fishing nations are indiscriminately exploiting fisheries, resources in others' exclusive economic zone. UK government publishes its plans to get rid of parts of post-Brexit deal it agreed with European Union in 2019. APEDA organizes 8-day-long mango festival in Bahrain to boost export of Indian mangoes. World Blood Donor Day being observed on 14 June to raise awareness on the need for safe blood for transfusion. Indian men's football team qualifies for AFC Asian Cup 2023 for second successive time. And in cricket, India beat South Africa by 48 runs in third 2020 International of 5-match series at Visakhapatnam. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has reviewed the status of human resources in all departments and ministries. The Prime Minister's office said Mr. Modi has instructed that recruitment of 10 lakh people be done by the government in mission mode in the next 1.5 years. Home Minister Amit Shah said this decision will bring new hope and confidence among the youth. He said that the basis of New India is its youth power, and to empower youth, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is working continuously. Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur said that over the years, Prime Minister Modi has made the government more accountable and governance more people-centric, ensuring last-mile delivery. Union Minister for Road Transport and Highways Nitin Gadkari has also said that this decision will not only boost the manpower in government-related services delivery but also inject efficiency and enhance productivity in the administration. He said good governance for citizens' welfare is the hallmark of the Narendra Modi government. The Government of India on Tuesday cleared Agnipat scheme for recruitment of youth in the Indian Armed Forces. Briefing media in New Delhi with 3 service chiefs, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said the youth selected under this scheme will be known as Agniveers. He said the Agniveers will be getting attractive monthly package with risk and hardship allowances as applicable in the 3 services. Mr. Singh said Agniveers will also be paid one-time Seva Nidhi package upon completion of engagement period of 4 years. The Agnipat scheme, cleared by Cabinet Committee on Security, allows patriotic and motivated youth to serve in the armed forces for a period of 4 years. Over 46,000 Agniveers are to be recruited this year. This is a major defence policy reform introduced by the government to usher in a new era in the human resources policy of the 3 services. The policy, which comes into immediate effect, will govern the enrolment for the 3 services. Chief of Air Staff Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhary said the scheme gives Air Force an opportunity to draw from vast pool of talent available in the country so that they can serve in the armed forces with pride. Navy Chief Admiral R. Hari Kumar said Agnipat scheme is a new era of new thinking and it will positively impact the human resources management of the armed forces. Army Chief General Manoj Pandey said Agnipat scheme is a transformational reform for the Army and the nation. It aims to bring a paradigm shift in human resources management. General Pandey said it will maintain the balance between youth and experienced personnel. Up to 25% of Agniveers are selected for enrollment in the armed forces as regular cadre.
The Union Cabinet of India has approved the proposal for signing off an agreement between India and the United Nations on a wayfinding application to be used in the Palais des Nations, United Nations office at Geneva. The project of development of wayfinding application has been conceptualized as donation from India to the UN on the occasion of its 75th anniversary in 2020. The estimated financial implication for development, deployment and maintenance of the app is $2 million. And in today's Hotpot section, we bring you a discussion on the 12th World Trade Organization Ministerial Meeting and stakes for India. In conversation are Anil Wadhwa, former diplomat, and Simran Sodhi, journalist.
General Kulkarni, the Defence Minister and the Defence Ministry, the three service chiefs, today announced a major change in the recruitment policies for the troops of the Indian Armed Forces, that is the Indian Army, Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy. So these are radical changes to say the least. There's a long list how a new recruit will come for 4 years and after that he will leave, and there's a provision for women also in the troops which will be done progressively, and after 4 years only 25% of the troops will be retained into the force. How do you see this scheme?
I see this scheme as transformative because it does improve the battle preparedness. It does allow the services to select the best. It also allows them having a youthful profile. So keeping all these in mind, and also I understand that the Skill India is also ensuring that the ITIs would give to the services the best of the youth that they require for. Having said that, the apprehensions that were there in the minds of the veteran that probably we would have not very well committed or disciplined, or actually the army is considered a way of life and it would be seen as a tour of duty and the commitment would be lacking. I don't think so. I think we would probably be underestimating the youth of India. The youth of India, once thing is rolled in about 90 days when the recruitment starts, I think it's an absolute fantastic opportunity for the youth. So looking at it, I see the demographic dividend is what we are looking at, and capturing the demographic dividend for the good of the country and also giving fantastic incentives. Imagine incentives of this kind at a young age when the boy and even the girl who walks out, and they've ensured that the combat readiness is not compromised. The combat potential will be enhanced by the modernization that is likely to come through immediately once the savings are there. The good financial packages which are being given to these Agniveers in this Agnipat that we are looking at. I think 30,000 rupees is what Agniveer will get initially, and by the time he comes to fourth year, it'll be about 40,000. That works out to about 4.76 lakh first year package, to going as high as 6.92 lakhs in the fourth year. He is given a corpus when he leaves after 4 years of about 11.71 lakhs. That's a good amount for him to start a fresh life, and after a 6 month gap, the best of 25% from that will be absorbed in the army.
General Saab, when we say the best of 25% will be taken back, there are questions being asked about the retention scheme. Will it bring in subjectivity? Will it bring in biases on basis of various issues? Do you see a threat in that?
Ajay, you are right in a way, because this is an apprehension that would this lead to something what we don't want it to happen. The entire 4 years of his stay, he is being observed and assessed. And in the fifth year, when he is to be absorbed, those 25 best percent, I think everything is quantified. Everything is being seen and completely computerized, which is absolutely transparent. So no man can say that, well, person better than me, I am out, and someone who was not as good has been taken in. No, not at all. It's an absolutely transparent scheme ensuring that the best 25% will be selected. Yes, I would admit that there would be pressure on the commanding officers of the infantry battalion and the people there to select the best 25. But yes, it's an opportunity being given. And it's not a large, huge number that generally one visualizes. The number of people being taken are just about 40,000 and going as high as about 45,000 or something in about 4 years of time, which is nothing. I don't think an infantry battalion would even get more than 30 people every year. That is almost the kind of number of people who retire also every year from the infantry battalion.
General Kulkarni, at the press conference today, we were informed that the average age of troops at the moment is 32 years. It will come down to 26 years once this Agnipat is implemented. And we were promised that the selection criteria, the Army Chief himself said none of the physical parameters will be tinkered with. How do you see this happening? This coming down of the age to 26 years? Will it mean a youthful army? And two, when the Army Chief says that there will be no tinkering with the physical parameters, how do you see this going ahead?
When the Chief is saying that, that's exactly what we are trying to convey. That everything is quantified. Everything is being seen. Now, people will say, well, morale is not quantified. How do we know a Jazba and Josh is not quantified? Everything. Physical fitness is quantified. You know exactly. He may have the Josh, but he may not have the physical fitness to do that particular job. So everything is being seen and assessed. So there's no question of selecting someone who's not good. good. So definitely I see what the chief is saying. I go along because what I also understood, the quantification of it, the entire thing is being computerized, everything is being seen and everybody will be assessed accordingly. And as regards the feeling that the youthfulness, 100%, there's no denying the fact. If the boy is between 17 and a half to 21 years and he goes after 4 years, that is 25 and 26, it will be a youthful army, definitely, because the Kargil committee report gave the same that the age must be young. Based on that, the COs were right now quite young. That is something which is there. And I think it will definitely reduce the age profile to about 25, 26 from what it is 32 now. And again, something very good that I heard, this entire scheme is not just that it is being superimposed. You can tweet with it. You can go along with it and see and ensure that you get the best. There are certain guidelines that have been given and those guidelines have to be followed. But should the guidelines come in the way of combat preparedness, definitely they can be tweaked. And that is the best part of it. I think it's a fantastic scheme. All the three services will be a beneficiary.
I must inform the listeners that each of the people who are going out, or the Jawans who will go out after 4 years of service, as you rightly said, will get around 11.76 lakh rupees as a one-time payout. Also, the government has said there will be no income tax on this money which they receive. The troops will get 30,000 rupees as salary in the first year of their recruitment. It will go up to 40,000 till the last 4th year. There will be a hardship allowance which will be equal to what regular soldiers get as per their location. General Kulkarni, is this enough?
Definitely. Firstly, all these boys are very young. And at that young age, when they're just about 10 standard pass and maybe more also, but definitely minimum 10 standard, with the kind of money that they're going to get, with the kind of other risk and hardship allowances they're going to get, the ration, the dress, the travel allowances are applicable everywhere. The corpus being given to them at the end of it. 30% of the monthly emoluments which are contributed by individuals, balance of it, equal amount will be contributed by the government to them. There's a non-contributory life insurance cover of 48 lakhs to them. Then an additional ex gratia of 44 lakhs should the person die while in service. Not just that, supposing he gets disabled during that time, he gets a one-time ex gratia of 44 lakhs over and above what he's getting earlier, provided he's 100% disabled. If he's 50% disabled, he may get about 15 lakhs. So I think the government has ensured that at no point of time, anyone who decides to join the armed forces and Agniveer, he is a winner from the point of his own life, which will be transformed. Winner as regards the compensation and the incentives that he's getting. A winner because he will be now a real youth who will be contributing to the nation to the best of his ability and the skills having achieved while he was there in the service for 4 years.
The defense minister, when he was asked whether this scheme has come to overcome the ballooning pension bill, he was very categorical that do not insult the new scheme in terms of such matters. And he also said that the government was ready to spend any amount of money on the armed forces. How do you see these two statements?
Most of us have this feeling that the government probably sort of virtually in a tight corner because 1.2 lakh crores from 5.275 lakh crores of the defense budget is going on pensions. But from the kind of financial package that the government has offered to the Agniveer and the kind of money that they're rolling out and with no compromise whatsoever on the capital expenditure and adequate being catered for their payments and the kind of incentives being given, the corpus has been created and everything. I think what the Raksha Mantri has conveyed that definitely money is not a constraint. So do not for a moment tell us that we are doing this to save money. I think the purpose is totally different. Purpose is not to save money. The purpose is to ensure that the youth of this nation, the demographic dividend that we are achieving in this nation is exploited to the good of the nation and that the entire nation gets involved in nation building and realizes that the security, and again because it's an all India, all class, that means everybody, anywhere, he's got to just go apply online and 40,000 is the number of people who are going to be recruited. So that number will be taken every year, even a lakh much later in years to come. So I think the Raksha Mantri is right that money is not what has guided them. What has guided them is to give employment opportunity. What has guided them is to give an opportunity to the youth of India to get discipline. And what has again the government has been guided by, in years when India becomes a $5 trillion economy and $10 trillion economy, at that point of time we require dedicated, absolutely committed youth to take that nation that far. I think that's where we would be able to achieve. And definitely money is not the guiding factor as what I can see from the incentives that are being offered.
General Kulkarni, there are fears expressed on social media that these 4-year people who will come and join the forces for 4 years may fall into wrong hands after 4 years, may join some militia, some gang or some outside forces, may misuse them. These are the fears being expressed by Vertons on Twitter. How do you see at this and how do you see it can be avoided?
aberrations can be there. But overall, a person who's been there, who's been given a financial package, and I'm sure they will all be ensuring this, that they don't fall into wrong hand. But yes, we have to be alert. There is no denying the fact. We have to ensure that these people don't fall. And in this context, I will say the success of the 75% who do not get absorbed in the army, how they prosper in the society, how they show themselves in the society would be the real acid test of the entire scheme. Because 25% will be absorbed. So that's not a problem because they'll be in the service and also earn their pension after 15 years after doing their 4 years of this Agnipat, which is a totally standalone scheme. But the success of the 75%, how the government absorbs them, how the government rolls out schemes for them, how the other departments come forward to help them, and they're not falling into wrong hands and they're not going into militias or the toxic environment around being affecting them. I think that is what is the real asset test and the success of the scheme, which will be seen in years to come, how the 75% are going to become real gladiators or real motivators or real youth of India, which will take the nation to great strides.
Thank you for speaking to us, General Kulkarni.
Thank you. Jai Hind.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal has said that several advanced fishing nations are indiscriminately exploiting the fisheries resources in others' exclusive economic zone. Mr. Goyal said this during intervention on fisheries subsidies negotiations at the 12th Ministerial Conference of the WTO in Geneva on Tuesday. He said India has argued in the past that such nations shall own the responsibility for the damage they have caused to the global fisheries wealth and should bring them under a tougher discipline regime. Mr. Goyal said India does not operate huge fishing fleets to exploit the resources indiscriminately like any other advanced fishing nation. The minister said India is a strong advocate of sustainability and its glorious history speaks volumes of its traditions, customs and good practices in managing its natural resources. The 4 holy Kapilvastu relics of Lord Buddha were placed with great reverence for exposition at Batsagan Temple Assembly Hall of Gandan Monastery in Mongolia on Tuesday amid Buddhist chantings and musical performances. A report.
India has sent these holy Kapilvastu relics of Lord Buddha to Mongolia for 11-day exposition. On this occasion, Indian Minister Kiren Rijiju said, several centuries ago, the spirit of Buddhism traversed from the Himalayan mountains of India into Mongolian steppes and became precious shared heritage. This spiritual connect continues to bind the people of 2 nations. The Mongolian Buddhist relics are also being displayed in Gandan Monastery alongside Indian relics, reinforcing this unique spiritual link between the 2 nations. India has reprinted 100 sets of 108-volume sacred Mongolian contour, which will soon be distributed to monasteries and other Buddhist institutions. Speaking on the occasion, Speaker of Mongolian Parliament, Zandan Shatar Gombojiev, thanked the Indian government for allowing exposition of the holy relics for 11 days and giving the people of Mongolia the opportunity to pay their respects and seek blessings. These relics belong to 22 of the special relics kept in India's National Museum of Culture Ministry. Anita Anand for World News, All India Radio.
Israel and the state government of Haryana have signed a joint declaration in the field of integrated water resources management and capacity building. The joint declaration was signed by the ambassador Einat Schlein, head of Mashav, Israel's agency for international development cooperation, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the State of Israel, and the Irrigation and Water Resources Department, Government of Haryana, India. On this occasion, Ambassador Einat Schlein said, "This is a significant milestone as our countries are celebrating 30 years of full diplomatic relations, and water security has always been one of the most important pillars of our relations." The process for election of the 16th President of India will gain momentum from Wednesday with the issuance of notification. Nomination can be filed by the candidates till the 29th of this month. The poll for the presidential election will be held on the 18th of next month and counting will take place on the 21st of July. The term of the office of President Ramnath Kovind is ending on the 24th of next month.
The United Kingdom government has published its plans to get rid of parts of the post-Brexit deal it agreed with the European Union in 2019. It wants to change the Northern Ireland Protocol to make it easier for some goods to flow from Great Britain to Northern Ireland. But the EU opposes the move, saying that going back on the deal breaches international law. The UK government says there is no other way of safeguarding essential interests of the UK. The Agricultural and Processed Food Products Export Development Authority APEDA of India has organized 8-day-long Mango Festival in Bahrain to boost export of mangoes. The Commerce and Industry Ministry said 34 varieties of mangoes from eastern states of West Bengal, Bihar, Jharkhand, Uttar Pradesh and Odisha are being displayed at 8 different locations of Bahrain's Al Jazeera Group supermarket. The mango show will continue till 20th of this month. The ministry said the mango show in Bahrain is part of APDA's new initiatives to explore international markets for Indian mangoes under the Mango Festival 2022.
14th June is World Blood Donor Day. It is observed every year on this day with an aim to raise awareness of the need for safe blood and blood products for transfusion, and also to thank voluntary unpaid blood donors for their life-saving gifts of blood. The slogan for this year is "Donating blood is an act of solidarity. Join the effort and save lives. Join the effort and save lives." Millions of lives are saved every year by transfusion of blood and blood products in patients suffering from life-threatening conditions and during complex medical and surgical procedures. U.S. President Joe Biden will make his first trip to West Asia region next month, visiting Israel, West Bank and Saudi Arabia from the 13th to 16th July, the White House confirmed in a statement. According to a senior Biden official, the U.S. President will begin his travel in Israel, where he will meet with Israeli leaders to discuss the country's security, prosperity and increasing integration into the greater region.
A seriously injured student from Rajouri district of Jammu and Kashmir was airlifted by the Government of India from a Dhaka hospital in Delhi on Monday. The student, Shoaib Lone, met with a serious road accident on 3rd June in which one of his friends died and 2, including Shoaib Lone, were seriously injured. He was admitted to a local private hospital in Dhaka for treatment. However, the family arrived in Dhaka. They found that the condition of the student was very serious. The father of the student, who is a government employee, told news agency ANI that a local leader of his hometown area contacted the Prime Minister's office, at which point PM Narendra Modi instructed the High Commissioner of India in Dhaka to assess the situation and extend all possible assistance. The Indian men's football team qualified for the AFC Asian Cup 2023 for second successive time on Tuesday following Palestine's 4-0 win over Philippines. The result meant that the Palestinians directly qualified for the 24-team finals, finishing group toppers, while second-placed Philippines with 4 points were eliminated despite finishing second. The men in blue have secured 2 consecutive qualifications for the first time in the history. India, which is second behind Hong Kong on goal difference, have qualified ahead of its final round Group D clash. Overall, India have qualified for the Continental Showpiece for the 5th time.
In the third Cricket 2020 International, India beat South Africa by 48 runs at Visakhapatnam to remain alive with 1-2 in the 5-match series. Put into bat first, the hosts posted a big score of 179 runs for the loss of 5 wickets in the stipulated 20 overs, riding on the openers Rituraj Gaikwad's 57 of 35 and Ishan Kishan's 54 of 35. For visitors, Dwayne Pretorius picked up 2 wickets. Chasing the target, the Proteas were bundled out for 131 runs in 19.1 overs by the Indian bowlers, including Harshal Patel, who scalped 4 wickets, and Yuzvendra Chahal, who took 3 wickets. Earlier, South Africa won the toss and elected to bowl. The 4th match will be played in Rajkot on the 17th and the 5th and the final on the 19th of this month at Bengaluru. In badminton, 2-time Olympic medalist PV Sindhu made a shock first-round exit on Tuesday from Indonesia Open Super 1000 event after suffering a straight-game defeat against China's He Bing Zhao. 7-seeded Sindhu lost 14-21, 18-21 to Bing Zhao in the women's singles. B. Sai Praneeth also lost to Hans Christian Solberg Wittenges of Denmark in the men's singles 16-21, 19-21.
A report from the business desk.
At the stock markets, the Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange fell 153 points or 0.3% to end at 52,694 today. The Nifty at the National Stock Exchange shed 43 points or 0.3% to 15,732. At the global stock markets, Asian markets ended mixed today. So Japan's Nikkei 225 index declined 1.3%, South Korea's Kospi index fell 0.5%, and Singapore's Straits Times index dropped 1%. But China's Shanghai Composite Index rose 1%, and Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index ended marginally higher. In Europe, after a solid opening in morning trade, stocks traded lower with London's FTSE 100 dropping 0.6%, France's CAC 40 slipping 0.9%, and Germany's DAX losing 0.4% in intraday trade. Brent crude oil futures rose today as tight global supply outweighed worries that fuel demand would be hit by a possible recession and fresh COVID-19 curbs in China. So the Brent crude futures rose 68 cents to trade at $122.95 a barrel. The U.S. crude futures added 54 cents to $121.47 a barrel. And at the forex market, the rupee depreciated 5 paise against the US dollar to close the day at 77 rupees and 99 paise. Gaura Dhawanlal for World News All India Radio.
Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. First, we have a look at the press reports on China. Prasar Bharati Beijing reports that China has restarted the visa application process for Indian nationals after hiatus of more than 18 months, as it had effectively banned visa for Indians and flights to and from India since November 2020. Bloomberg, in an opinion piece, writes China's belligerence is spoiling its chance to lead Asia. HG reports that Sashastra Seema Bal on Sunday evening arrested 2 Chinese nationals after they were caught while trying to enter Nepal from India.
And now let's have a look at the press reports on Nepal. Republica reports that lawmakers in the House of Representatives have issued special directive to the government to resolve the fertilizer problems of the country. And now let's have a look at the press reports from Balochistan. The Balochistan Post reports that the residents of Panjgur, Shahu Khan, have staged a sit-in protest against the enforced disappearance of 2 brothers at the hands of the Pakistani security forces.
Now let's have a look at the press reports from Afghanistan. Hama Press reports that Afghanistan Independent Journalists Association in Kapisa province said that the association's deputy for Kapisa, Abdul Hanan Mohammadi, has been missing after receiving frequent threats. Now let's have a look at the press reports from Pakistan. The News International reports that Finance Minister Miftah Ismail has said that Pakistan would default if the government would not withdraw the subsidies on petroleum products.
Now let's have a look at the press reports on Bangladesh. Bangladesh has urged the UN to scale up its program and create conducive conditions in the Rakhine state of Myanmar for Rohingya repatriation, reports the Daily Star.
A quick look at the headlines once again. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi instructs his government to provide 10 lakh jobs to youth in mission mode over the next 1.5 years. Agnipat scheme cleared by Government of India to recruit youth in armed forces for a period of 4 years. Indian Minister Piyush Goyal says that several advanced fishing nations are indiscriminately exploiting fisheries resources in others' exclusive economic zone. UK government publishes its plans to get rid of parts of post-Brexit deal it agreed with European Union in 2019. APEDA organizes 8-day-long mango festival in Bahrain to boost export of Indian mangoes. World Blood Donor Day being observed on 14 June to raise awareness on the need for safe blood for transfusion. Indian men's football team qualifies for AFC Asian Cup 2023 for second successive time. And in cricket, India beat South Africa by 48 runs in third 2020 international of 5-match series at Visakhapatnam. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Sierra Leone.
I
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.